is a spiritual deity. Freedom and liberty and justice shall fight for you. When you fight for freedom with all your soul, take it from me. This is Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, the voice of the nation, the voice of the rising sun.
This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, bringing you news, cultural, and educational programs. This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. And here is a special announcement from the leadership of Biafra government in exile. This is BCB.
I welcome you specially to today's broadcast on this day, Sunday, the 31st of July 2022. This program is on YouTube, and you can follow the link at any time after 4 o'clock today, Biafra time. And you can listen again, or if you missed it from 4, you can always listen again. Thank you for joining us as we continue to bring you information and the plans we have for you as we walk towards Biafra exit from Nigeria. Situation today in Nigeria is very clear about what we've been saying for so many years, that the Fulani terrorists, now headed clearly by Buhari, the president of Nigeria, will seek to turn Nigeria into an Islamic state by force. They bombed a train and took people hostage, killing innocent people. They stormed a prison in Kuje and released their fighters. They are now attacking army people, individuals, innocent people in the national capital. And the president, Muhammadu Buhari, has remained silent. It is clear that he is the commander of these terrorists, and they've planned to take over government in Nigeria in the fashion that we saw in Afghanistan by the Taliban. They've scattered their foot soldiers, the Fulani headsmen, all across our forests, our bushes, and our land. In Biafra land, in Yoruba land, in Tiv land, and all the nationalities in the Middle Belt region and the riverine areas. They are hell-bent on unleashing a jihad, taking over the territories and establishing an Islamic caliphate. It is very, very important that we all wake up and stand up now and defend ourselves and make sure that they fail. And I am convinced that they will fail. How can a people become classically self-defeatist, inadvertently working at cross purpose and applying worldviews that are counterintuitive in the face of grave danger and mortally fatal circumstances, as we see today? It is very clear that we are facing serious danger. And only if we are able to extricate ourselves from this contraption that the British enforced on us, that we can be safe, that we can grow, that we can develop into that people, prosperous people that God created us to be. Since the resurgence of the agitation for the restoration of the sovereign state of Biafra in the late 90s, and the emergence of the movement of the actualization of sovereign state of Biafra under the leadership of Chief Ralph Wazirike. Our people have, in a regrettable interlude of self-destructive behavior, conspired and contrived in the most astonishing manner to inhibit progress in the delivery of the restoration program. The agitation for self-determination is a noble and legitimate agitation, totally acceptable. According to United Nations Charter, indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination. So Biafrans are well within their right to seek to exit from Nigeria and become once again an independent nation. As long as this is done in a peaceful and democratic and diplomatic manner, without fear of any harassment, imprisonment, or death. But on the contrary, the Nigerian forces and their Islamic accomplices have unleashed terror on peaceful protesters and peaceful agitators for freedom. Sadly, thousands of Biafrans have lost their lives in the process of peacefully asking for freedom and peacefully asking for a process that will allow them decide for themselves whether they want to remain in Nigeria or exit and become free and independent, as it's done in various places in the world, in Scotland, in United Kingdom, in Kosovo, in Bosnia-Herzegovina, in the old Russian Republic. Nations have fought and got their freedom in a peaceful manner. About 22 years ago, since the resurgence of the agitation, we still are not any closer to our desired objective. The reason is clear. The answer partly lies in the proliferation of groups to the extent that energy and focus is dissipated rather than concentrated in a critical mass. Masov's lack of discipline and governance structure, despotic and sometimes authoritarian self-centered leadership fueled these divisions that created over 20 sub-pro-Biafra groups. On the contrary, in diaspora, a group of men in the United States of very high quality of character and learning, vast in understanding of our situation, filled with vigor and passion for freedom, established a Biafra Foundation. They moved swiftly to garner international support and advice and formed alliances in Washington, D.C. and various other places in Europe and America. The foundation found its voice in Voice of Biafra International, VOBI, through which they reached out to all Biafrans and piled enormous pressure on the Nigerian government. And a house, which they called home, a Biafra house, was established in Washington at the time. An attempt to proscribe them by the Obasanjo administration was rebuffed by the United States government. Determined to build an internationally recognized and acceptable structure and methods of seeking for Biafra freedom and self-determination, the foundation members followed advice and re-established Biafra government in exile, worked assiduously to develop a working document signed and accepted by majority of the ethnic nationalities in Biafra, which became a memorandum of understanding, with the view that it will metamorphose into an acceptable people's document, a constitution, when the nation is restored between the nations and the peoples of Biafra. The Biafra Charter came to be. The Charter is the organic and foundational agreement for the establishment of a national structure, a governance structure, a governing authority and basic code of conduct for the functionaries and peoples of Biafra. The purpose of the Charter is to establish an enduring national structure. In addition, the Charter mandates the immediate formation of a provisional government of Biafra, known as Biafra Provisional Government, to serve the nation and people of Biafra during the period that Biafra is under the occupation of Nigeria. This is how BGIE came to be, and a shadow government at home formed to complete the establishment worldwide of the provisional government of Biafra. BGIE has remained focused and untainted, largely due to the quality of its membership. The current leadership is focused on taking the restoration program further, with a plan that is certain to deliver our exit from Nigeria in the shortest possible time, whilst engaging with other local communities, religious groups, and traditional institutions to ensure that our land and our people, especially our young people, are protected from the killing machine that is the Fulani terrorists, the Nigerian army, Boko Haram terrorists, and now bandits and kidnappers, all of which are power of coercion of the Buhari administration, employed to unleash jihad and decimate Christians and Christianity, indigenous populations in Biafra land, in Yoruba land, and in the Middle Belt, and take over our lands, establish their caliphates and Islam in our territory. My promise to them is simple. We shall do all it takes to protect our people and our land. BGIE will, as much as practicable, work with all groups to make sure that these threats are nullified, our land and people safeguarded, as we strenuously continue to pursue Biafra freedom in a peaceful, diplomatic, and democratic manner. Everywhere you are, listening to us today, you have a role to play, albeit very little. As a Biafran or a friend of Biafra, you can help. You can donate as little as £2, $2, or €2 to support our program. This is your government. The Biafra government in exile is your government to deliver Biafra independence. Your donation will be managed transparently and judiciously for this purpose. This is a guarantee. Thank you and God bless you. May God bless our veterans and heroes who paid the ultimate sacrifice whilst defending us. And may God bless our nation, Biafra.
This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, bringing you the news summaries for the week. In the news this week, God save Imo State. UN backs Governor Otom's call for release of Nnamdi Kanu. Terrorists attack presidential guards in Abuja, kill 8 soldiers. Stay tuned for the details coming shortly. God Save Imo State from the Nation Online. With the federal and Imo State governments showing lack of capacity to protect the lives and property of the residents of Imo State, perhaps it is time for the people to turn to God for divine intervention. Otherwise, what can the people of the state do when those that hold the levers of power have become clueless in the midst of mass murder of unarmed citizens by bandits and so-called agents of the state? The most recent of such gruesome mass murders took place in Awomama, Olu State. Indeed, according to human rights organization International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law into Society, between 800 to 900 citizens of Imo State have been killed under the watch of the government of Hope Uzodimma. While it may be preposterous to blame the governor exclusively for the killings, considering the constitutional challenges faced by governors on security, that report should alarm the governor. According to Inter-Society, those killed in Awomama were wedding guests returning from a wedding. In their report, they named the wedded couple, the place of the wedding, their family and villages, the persons killed, those fatally wounded, those missing and those arrested. Yet in the account of the governor, those killed were dreaded terrorists killing and maiming residents of the state, while the governor claims it was DSS on security mission that killed the criminals. The people claimed Ibubagon security men killed guests returning from a wedding. Such a controversy under the nose of the state governor is outrageous and disheartening. As far as the people of Awomama are concerned, the governor is lying and propagating a false claim by the DSS that those killed were criminals. This column supports a call for an independent inquiry to unearth what happened in Awomama, Imo State. The state government should be interested in such public inquiry, unless it has something to hide. If it doesn't, then the governor should immediately convene a judicial panel of clearly independent persons to find out what happened. The governor has nothing to lose if the information given to him by the security agencies turn out to be false, but he has everything to lose if he allows the controversy to linger for the rest of his tenure. He should know by now that the controversy will not go away. Rather, it will mutate into all manner of conspiracy theories, most of which would evolve around his person. The leadership of the DSS must set up an administrative inquiry to determine whether her officials in the state are telling the truth or if in the alleged cover-up. From This Day Live, UN Group backs Autumn's call for release of Nnamdi Kanu. The United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has backed calls by the governor of Benue State, Mr. Samuel Ortom, for the immediate release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. The group also indicted both Nigerian and Kenyan governments for the arrest and extraordinary rendition, torture, and continued detention of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, without due process. Recall that Governor Ortom had last week called for the immediate release of Kanu to enhance the peace process in the country. He made a call when a group under the aegis of American veterans of Igbo origin paid him a courtesy visit in Washington, D.C. He stated that Kanu's issue is a social political challenge that must be dealt with politically. The governor argued that even members of Boko Haram who posed a greater threat to the country's unity have often been freed, resettled, and some integrated into the armed forces. Otum maintained that the southeast of Nigeria must be given a sense of belonging to erase the impression of persecution of a section of the country. He tasked the AVIO to believe in one Nigeria, pointing out that no country on earth is without its challenges, and assured them that power shift to the southeast is possible if the people of the region could put their differences aside and pursue the objective with one mind. Otum said his call for freedom of worship was not only to protect the rights of Christians, but all Nigerians would be free to practice their faith without intimidation or molestation in any part of the country. Meanwhile, the UN has asked the Nigerian government to ensure immediate release of Kanu unconditionally and pay him adequate compensation for the arbitrary violation of his fundamental human rights. It also recommended that the government officials responsible for the torture meted to the IPOB leader be investigated and punished. For our final news piece for the week from the Premium Times, terrorists attack presidential guards in Abuja, kill 8 soldiers. On Monday, the government officially shut the Federal Government College, Kwali Area Council of Abuja after terrorists attacked a community near the school. Gunmen on Friday attacked some officials of the 7th Guard Battalion of the Nigerian Army Presidential Guard Brigade. The incident, which took place late Friday night around the Bwari Area Council of Abuja, left 3 soldiers wounded and 8 personnel killed. 2 of the slain personnel were officers, including a captain and a lieutenant, while the remaining were soldiers. According to the source within the army, the main aim of the terrorists is to attack the Nigerian Law School in Bwari, and they have already camped in the area. The Nigerian army has yet to officially react to the attack. Army spokesman Onyema Nwachukwu did not pick up or return calls to his phone, but different intelligence sources has told Premium Times that the government was aware of plans by terrorists to attack some areas in the capital, and security had been increased around the city. On Monday, the government officially shut down the Federal Government College, in the Kwali Area Council of Abuja after terrorists attacked a community near the school. The attack on the Guards Brigade, whose duty is to protect the president, comes a few weeks after the terrorists launched a similar attack on the presidential convoy in Katsina State. On the same day, terrorists invaded Kuje prison in Abuja and freed hundreds of inmates, including Boko Haram suspects. Friday's attack also occurred 2 days before terrorists released a video showing them manhandling persons kidnapped from the Abuja-Kaduna train. One of the terrorists in the video threatened that his group would abduct President Buhari. Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai and other prominent Nigerians and destabilize the country if their demands were not met. And that brings an end to the news summaries for the week. This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, thanking you for listening and saying goodbye, friends.
Freedom is a spiritual deity. Freedom and liberty and justice shall fight for you. When you fight for freedom with all your soul, take it from me. This is Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, the voice of the nation, the voice of the rising sun.
Good morning, fellow Biafrans, or good day wherever you are. This is Rose Ama, and this is BCB. By this time, in 1967, we were at war. Nigeria had declared war on us, and in fact, has invaded us. It was clear that Nigeria was not backing away from trying to exterminate us. As Frederick Forsyth acknowledges in his preface to The Struggle for Modern Nigeria, quote, "The actual ground war was sometimes brutal, often farcical," unquote. Regardless, it was destructive, it was brutal, and traumatizing for Biafrans, for those of us who still remember it, who experienced it. And it has not stopped. Recent events in the history of that country called Nigeria that have targeted Biafrans, mostly Biafrans in the Igbo-speaking states, tell us that the war has not stopped, that the brutality has not stopped. Think about it. The incursion and the violence perpetrated by the Fulani herdsmen, sponsored agents of the Nigerian federal government, the complicity of some of our leaders who have engaged in various levels of violence and brutalities against their own people. Case in point is the recent execution of 14 young men in Imo State who were going to a wedding party for no other reason that Hope Uzodinma felt threatened or felt he had justification to go kill people at Olu. Uzodinma has targeted Olu again and again and again. He's turned Imo State into a battleground. He's decimated communities in Olu, scattered people, as Nigerians will say, or Igbos will say, in an effort to exercise domination. Regardless of how we look at this, it is a continuation of that war that began in 1966. And Hope Uzodinma is complicitous in the murder of his own people. He is not a leader. We have to hold him accountable. He cannot continue with this project of internal destabilization and execution of our people, destruction of our communities. Since usurping power, he has not done anything to improve the economic stability of the state, infrastructures in the state. Schools are falling apart, the roads are falling apart, nothing works. If anything, he has continued, like his predecessor, to rob the state of its wealth and to terrorize our people. The war did not stop in 1970. The war that began in 1967 did not end with the declaration of armistice in January 1970. It has continued, and now it is at home again. My people, my heart breaks This is not a story that we should continue to tell, but it is a story that we must continue to tell. We must fight against. We cannot stop. We cannot forget. We must remember history, and we must fight against self-destruction. So if you're listening and you consider yourself a Biafran, and if you don't want to call yourself a Biafran, but you live in one of those states that is part of Biafra, just know that if you are complicitous, if you join Uzodimma and his people to undermine our security, you are also hurting yourself. This is not an issue of it doesn't concern me anymore. It does concern you. What affects one of us affects all of us. If none of us feels safe, you cannot be safe. When the war comes, and it is there already, slowly, gradually arriving, when they come to kill us, they will not stop to say, are you in support of Uzodimma or Buhari or Boko Haram or the Islamic State West Africa? No, they will not. They didn't do that in 1966. They didn't do it in 1967 or through 1970. They have not done it since then. They will kill you and kill all of us. So, where do you stand? Think of your responsibility. We need to educate ourselves or re-educate ourselves about history, about our responsibilities, about our role in making all of us safe. The war that began in 1967 physically began earlier. It didn't just start with the killings in 1966. There were killings before then, as far back as the 1940s. And those killings have continued up till today. Since we're talking about history, I'm going to go to 1967 because in the past, we have, as part of this series, as part of our program, we have returned occasionally or from time to time, as I say, to Ojukwu's journals. His journals and recordings of the war as he saw it happening. So here is a reminder, a piece of memory from Ojukwu's journals. And I'm reading from the section covering July 1st to October 15th, 1967. I'm not going to read the whole thing, so don't worry. But I want to focus on the dates July 20th through July 29th. July 20th, Nigerian troops enter Ogoja. There's the invasion. July 21st, first picture of the corpse of a white mercenary serving in the Nigerian army appears on the front page of Biafra newspapers. July 25th, Nigeria's Nigeria's invasion of Bonny with Shell, BP, and UAC, British company, vessels. Biafra Air Force destroys 4 enemy vessels which attack Bonny oil installations. Efik community in Aba declares that minority problem is dead in Biafra. The declaration continues, quote, "We are Biafrans and will always, both by word and by deed, identify ourselves with the Republic of Biafra. We are equally committed to the survival of our country. This is important. This is important because some people assume that our focus is primarily Igbo security. No, we are talking about the geographical 11 states that constituted Biafra, and we hope that people are listening. July 29th, Nigerian government sends emissaries to Russia to sign already concluded deals of military aid in the guise of quote and unquote cultural agreement. I'm ending here. As always, hypocritical Nigeria with its allies, as you can see, are engaged in destabilizing us. And the same allies are there today. So, Biafrans, if no one will save you, you have to save yourselves. You have to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. You have to dig yourselves out of that hole in which they are trying to bury us. I leave you with this. I hope you'll return to listen to our programs. If you have ideas, please send us a message. This is BCB. Like us on Facebook. We are on Facebook and on YouTube. This is Rosanna. Peace. Thank you for listening to us today. Join us next time for news, cultural, and educational programs. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.